All right, now that these submissions have been juried, I'll log in as the administration user and make that classification change. Okay, we've logged in here as the administrator user. And now the administrator's job would be to go through the submissions. So I'm going to come down here to the submissions category here. And now that the jurying process has been done, as an administrator, I can hover over here and see exactly which juror added which particular entry and the value, how many stars they rated each one of these entries. And then I can also see the average score here. So I can sort by average scores if I want to see the low to high or the high to low, and kind of see all the details for each particular submission. Now, an administrator would then come into the system and mark each of these submissions one by one. So you can click on the edit button, and I could manually say, well, all the 5 stars I want to jury in. So I could change the notification, or the online juried status to juried in or juried out. Now, as soon as I change this status to juried in and say update details, let's go back to the submissions. You'll notice that this row is now highlighted green with this thumbs up icon. And this is basically a quick visual representation for you to see which notifications have been juried in or juried out. Now, I do want to stress, this is simply a classification. Your users would be able to see this when they log in as well, but there is no notification email sent. So once you classify all of the entries, you would then notify all of the users of the status change. Now, it is quite a cumbersome process to go through these one by one and change that jury status to juried out or juried in. So I'll make this one juried out and say update so you can see here as well. And you can see a juried out becomes red with the simple thumbs down icon. Now, because this is kind of a cumbersome process, we built in a few powerful tools to allow you to mass jury in or out your submissions according to this average value. So as the administrator user, I may know that in my gallery, I have X amount of footage, or I can accept maybe 20 submissions in the photo category. Or maybe I know that my overall show can only have a certain amount of submissions that I can allow into the call. So I may sort this by average, and let's just use for an example. I'm going to come to the photography category, and it looks like the photo category has 7 submissions. Now I'm actually going to edit these submissions first and take those back to pending, so they're no longer juried, so I can illustrate a little bit better how this is going to work. I'll edit this juried out one and put it back to pending. Okay, so let's come back in here and select that photography category again. So it looks like my photography category has a total of 7 submissions. Now I'm going to sort these submissions by their average value here. I want the highest on top, 5 stars on top. And so I may look down here and say, well, maybe only submissions that are above 3 stars. So these first 4 submissions, I'm going to jury in. Below that 4-star, I'm going to consider these to be juried out. So now that I've kind of made that determination, I know that my value basically will be 3.5. 3.5 and above, I want in, and 3.5 and below, I want out. So I'll come over here to the jury settings, and I'm going to select this mark juried status option. So I'm going to say mark all submissions in the category of photography as juried in, where the average value is greater than 3.5. And then I'll just simply select this mark entries, and it will mass jury in all of those submissions. So you can see it tells me right here 4 additional submissions have been marked. This is only a classification as no notifications have been sent. So now if I come back here to my submissions, you can see if I sort again by that average rating, whoops, I need to select the photography category again, and we'll resort by rating. Everything above 3.5 is now in, and now I can go ahead and do the same thing for below 3.5. So I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to say mark that status. So photography, I want to mark juried out where the average is less, the average rating is less than 3.5. And I'll mark those entries. That marked 3 additional entries. So if I come back here to my submissions panel and look at those entries, underneath the photography category, you can see that category is now done. So I've just mass edited the entire category. They're either up, thumbs up, juried in, or thumbs down, juried out. So that's a really quick way you can sort of jury according to a threshold value, and you're allowed to do that on a per category basis. So if I have a different category, let's just do a quick example here. We'll come back to the submissions, and let's take a look at the 3D design submissions. So underneath 3D design, let's sort by average here. And it looks like there's 4 is the highest, then 3, and then again this one had the 0-star rating. But let's say that I only want to, well, let's say that all 4 of these I'm going to assume are going to make it into my show, even though the rating is much lower on these. Maybe I just have the space for these particular, or I don't have a lot of entrants into my 3D category, so I want to accept all 4 of these. So I can come over here to my online jury settings and go ahead and mark the status of these. So I'll say everything in the 3D design category, I'm going to mark as juried in, where the average jury rating is greater than 0. So that'll go ahead and just mark all of those categories as in. Then I can come back here and select those underneath the 3D design. Now, one caveat here is this last one did not get marked, because notice that option said greater than 0, and this one's actually 0. So this one I would have to manually judge and jury in. So I would just switch this one to juried in and hit update submissions. So again, the power there is that you're able to jury per category and have a different threshold value for your different categories and jury in and out all of your submissions. So the admin user would do that for each one of the categories in their particular call until all submissions are either marked in or out. And the admin user needs to do that. Now the second flip side of the coin here is once all of the submissions have been marked as either in or out, you want to notify your users at that point. Now again, this is optional, but I can come into the notify users of juried status, and I can say send the juried in notification email template, which is again this template underneath the email templates, whoops, right below here. So in other words, this is going to send this email template right here to all of those users. So I'll just select the notified here, and I'm going to say select the juried in notification email template to everyone who has not yet been notified and whose submissions are marked as juried in. So important note, make sure that the jurors have done their process and the admin users have marked all of the submissions as in or out. You want to make sure both of those have been completed before you go ahead and send the notification emails. So I'm just going to send this notification email at this point to show you how that will change. So I'm going to say send notification emails. Now the system here is actually going to give me an error because the email addresses I have set up right now, I'm on a demo site here, and it's actually not going to send email addresses out because all the user emails I have are all fake at this point. But you would then get a notice that says addresses sent. So now if I come over here and look at the submissions, there would be an additional classification of email notifications sent had that error, had those addresses been real and I'm not in a demonstration environment. So you'd see a little teeny email icon next to the submission here, which tells you that that submission has been sent. Now just to show you what that looks like, I'm going to manually edit one of these. So I'll edit this one. I'm just going to set that status as email sent. So once you send the email notification, this status will change to this on a particular submission. So I'll just manually edit this one, and you can see now that little email icon appears there. So that will appear after you send the notifications. And that's basically the setup for your administration user and how you will jury those in and out, and then notify all of your users of the status of the submission.